So it's interesting. Every time I think of themes and what the topic's going to be, I kind of balance how serious I should be and how jovial, or I just kind of let it go. So the theme is I have enough and I am enough. And before I really dive in, I wanted to start with a little bit of a comedic flair, I guess, Sandy. So let's see if it plays. I am not the jokester, so this like a nice little 2-minute skit from somebody. His name is George Carlin, about stuff. So let's see if it works. And if not, I'll just jump in right from there. So the two primary messages to come away with today, actually they're questions. When do you know you have enough? When do you really, really know you have enough? And the second one that we'll get to very shortly is, when will you eventually get to the point where you know you yourself, you are enough in all your full glory? And like every other topic that I talk about, it's easy to focus on the what. I believe us as a community, as a family, must embrace even more and more so. It's not the what that is so hard in this life, it's the work. It's not even the how, it's the work. And we have a lot of work to do to eventually get to the point where you know with clarity you have enough, and with absolute clarity, you are enough. But let's start with stuff. Like, how do you know? How do you know when you have enough stuff? Everybody in this room, I believe, has a fetish. I know I do. My fetish, candidly, it's golf. And so how do you know you have a fetish? So it's this question. We have fun at the homestead. I'll go, think about your fetish. And tell me if you can, starting tomorrow, never buy or do one more thing in regards to that one fetish that you have. Like, maybe not buy one more pair of shoes. Maybe not buy one more golf club or golf ball. Whatever it is. Music. And if you really challenge yourself, how hard is that to do? Honestly. When do you know? When is enough when it comes to stuff? Doesn't stop there. How about in your career? So if you reflect back in your career, or in your career now if you have one, how do you know if that title is enough? How do you know if that promotion that you were shooting for is enough? Like, when you get there, how do you know it's enough? Reflecting back when you had your career, how did you know you didn't want more responsibilities? I mean, how mind-boggling would it be if your boss came to you and go, if you do this and this, it's going to result in more for you. And because you did the work and you reflected on it, when your boss came to you, you went, no, actually, I'm really good. I don't need any more. I am perfect. I don't need any more responsibility. I'm very happy. I'm really clear for me what enough is. I don't need any more. I know one of my other fetishes, money. How do you know you have enough money? Like, when do you stop? So being in the corporate world that I often deal with, that is not a very easy answer to get to. In fact, I don't know one corporation who knows that answer. We have enough money. So there's a saying actually in the corporate world, if you're not growing, you're dying. It's a good mantra, but when do you know when to stop? Personally, how much is enough? Like, how can the average person know very clearly, I have enough money. I don't need any more. I'm at a very, very good place. It's really hard to do. Really, really hard to do. And there are a number of different reasons that I could talk about all day long, but that's not the point. It's just getting clarity of what that means for you. Here's a very different one that you might not often think about in enough. Relationships. Like, how do you know you have enough friends? How do you know you have enough wives, husbands? Some places don't have more than one. Just, some places have more than one. But how do you know? You can think about the very best friends that you have on planet Earth, and what it boils down to is you only need really one. You know this, like I say, this is easy to talk about, it's very hard to do. But the only person you really need to have a great relationship, at least on this earth, is with yourself. Everybody else is kind of, when you think about it, it's icing. Right? It's icing on top of things. But really the point here is it's okay to want more. It's really, really okay to have more than enough. The only thing that you have to be cognizant about is you're not using having more to cover up lack of within. That's it. And really, the simple challenge that I place on you, that I place on myself too, is the same thing. Is that enough? What's out there? Are you using that to cover up what you might be hiding and covering up that you don't want to face inside of here? Whether it be the relationship, whether it be the stuff, whether it be anything that you're using. The simple challenge that's hard to do is get to the place that even if you were butt naked, without the relationships, you are still fully complete, knowing that you come from infinite creation. That's the goal. That's all of our goals. So I talk about my poverty story. I talk about it every time I'm up here, but when we came with nothing but the clothes on our back, and we stood out like a sore thumb. I remember being so embarrassed I didn't want to play Twister in my church group because I knew I had holes in my socks, and I thought it wasn't a big deal to, didn't want to take off my shoes. I didn't want to show the holes in my socks, and I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. And then I realized, and I go back to the time when I was in my early 30s, and I had bought everything under the sun just to show I had everything. And I was really, really, really empty inside. That's when I had too much, because it had covered up everything, and I didn't go within. So Jesus had the same challenge. Remember the rich man? I do all these things. I serve, I help the poor, I serve the widowers. Tell me what else I need to do. And the question wasn't really a knock on the riches. The statement was more, can you leave even that behind? But he couldn't, and the reality was he was covering up that as well. So the challenge, it's the same. It's how do we get to the place that having enough has nothing to do with covering up any of the lack of belief in ourselves. That's it. So that's challenge number one. With your stuff, with your relationships, with your money, with your career, get to the place that you know it's just icing on top. So then we get to, ultimately, the goal is getting to the place of I am enough. I am enough. Sandy, do you keep going? Keep going. I wanted to show that number. I honestly, and I excuse this, and Kathy, when she gives me permission to speak up here, I'm just, I am who I am. I speak, I'm often, sometimes unfiltered, but this pissed me off when I looked up. 800,000 suicides, 1 out of every 40 seconds. As I'm up here speaking to you, that's going on right now. Are you freaking kidding me? And I'll tell you why as we go on. Mental illness happens to be the number one leading cause of disability. Number one leading cause of disability in the United States between 15 to 44-year-olds. Next slide, please. And I was like, I should take this out. No, I shouldn't. I should keep it up. And I'll give you the next sentence after this question. How the hell did we end up here? How the hell did we get to a place in this world where people freaking believe they are less than enough to take their freaking lives? How the hell did we get here? It upsets me so much because the statement that I have for you all is until you get to the place, until your families get to the place, until the relationship that you have in your life that matters get to the place where they know that, like I know, that you come from infinite creation, that you can't screw it up. There's been some junk out there, and there's still junk out there telling you different. What the hell is up with this world? To not know that. How can you not know that you are from infinite creation? How can it still be that we have 1 out of every freaking 40 seconds somebody taking their lives? So every time I have the opportunity to get up and speak with you, I'm going to be preaching in some way, shape, and form that you are more than enough. There was some crazy idea out there that sparked in all of us that you're less than that. One of my favorite quotes from Gary Renard's book, Disappearance of the Universe, is, there will never be world peace, and this is so true, until there's inner peace. You want world peace overnight? Wake up with inner peace. And so the work that we have to do is to get there. Start with you. You're always going to have things coming at you at all angles to tell you you're less than enough. And I'm here to tell you, you've got to be vigilant to know that you are more than enough, way more than enough. You're infinite. You're not going to hear that in common areas, but you're going to hear it here, because I know that to be true. Go ahead, keep going, Sandy. Yeah, the story of the prodigal son is our story, and what I really mean by that is there was a blip of time in a millisecond that we believed we could do it without God. I'm just going to tell you. And in that blip, because we have the infinite source within us, we miscreated to the hilt. And in that blip, there was this huge sense of guilt that we would never be accepted back. And we've been spending the rest of our life kind of running. But that's just a falsity, I'm going to tell you. God's waiting in loving and embracing arms to cloak you, to say, it was just a mad thing that you just did. You had no idea. I'm here for you. So how do we do it? How do we get back to this state? How do you get back to this state so that you know full well that you are part of God in every perfect way? Think about this just for a millisecond. Just for a millisecond. If God being all perfect, meaning not a blip of taint of ink of imperfection, how the heck can He create something imperfect? You. Just remove school of thought and religion. It doesn't even make sense. It's a big challenge, I told you. This is easy to focus on, very hard to do. So how do we get back? Two big ways. By the way, this works also in the any realm. You know, you want to learn how to lose weight, go to somebody who did. You want to learn how to get strong, go to a fitness instructor. It's the same thing. This is not rocket science. Get a role model, imitate the role model. I am not here to impose my beliefs on you, religion, anything. This is just coming from the camp of Rubi Ho. Personal experience, how I speak. So please, go within yourself and do the work. That's it. You know, when it comes to it. But for me, I don't know many people in the history of time who have really figured out that they are enough, who've really figured out they're one with God. For me, it does happen to be Jesus. What did he do? So, okay, if I'm going to imitate him, what were the things that he really practiced? Well, there are really three. Go ahead and put them all out there. So the first one is, he learned how to love God with all of his heart, mind, and soul. So first of all, not partially, not 5%, not 10%, all. Let's just pause to think about that. How do you even get to that state of all? That means you can't have any junk in the trunk or in the mind to get to that state. Well, candidly, if we were already in that state, I'm just going to tell you, we wouldn't be here right now. We'd be back. So that's the work. We need to get to that state until all we have in us is love. Because God is love. You see? And so until then, we're going to work on us. We're going to love our neighbors. Go back up, please. Go back, Sandy. Thank you. Love our neighbors as ourselves. Well, we don't love our neighbors unless we're focusing on love. Are we going to trip? Of course we're going to trip. That's why we forgive 7 times 77. What does 7 times 77 mean? All it means is an extreme exaggeration of you just got to keep on doing it. Just peeling away the things until we get there. So easy, right? To talk about. So here's the challenge. Go ahead, Sandy. How do you know when you're there? I've really reflected on this one. How do you know when you're getting close? And I am the chief of all sinners. I am on this journey with you. I trip every single day, and I'm going to tell you, it's moments of every day you know you're getting close. But the ultimate for me personally, is when I look at every single one of you. First, it starts with, when I look at every single one of you, all I see are my brothers and sisters. That's when you know you're getting closer. And then when you know you're getting really close, it's like the only thing I see in every single face I see is the face of Jesus. And then when I know when I get really, 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 really close, that's why I know I have a lot of work to do. The only thing I see is love. The only thing I see is love. Now, here's the thing. Wouldn't you know you were enough? if all you saw was love? So in some avenues, people say, until you see love only, all it is a reflection of what's still inside that you can't see love only. Does that make sense? So last but not least, I have this spectrum for you, and then I have this final message. Keep going, Sandy, please. It's this. I call it the Love Continuum. I just made that up. Where are you? Where are you? Are you in the spectrum of I only see fear and feel fear and guilt? Is that where you are? It doesn't matter how you get there's those three things again. But we all need to get to where Jesus is, I'm telling you. Where you can look in the mirror first, where you can go within, you just feel and see only love. So there's this little prayer that I'm just going to leave you with from the Course in Miracles. And it's called, I am sustained by the love of God. There we go. I am sustained by the love of God. Here is the answer to every problem that will confront you today and tomorrow and throughout time. In this world, you believe you are sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane symbols: pills, money, protective clothing, influence, prestige, being liked, knowing the right people, and an endless list of forms of nothingness that you endow with power. They are songs of praises to your ego. Do not put faith on the worthless. They will not sustain you. Here it is. Only the love of God will protect you from all circumstances. It will lift you out of every trial and raise you high above all perceived dangers of this world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. It will transform you into a state of mind that nothing or no thing can threaten, no thing can disturb, and where no thing can intrude upon the eternal calm of God that is within you. Put not your faith in what are ultimately illusions that will fade away. They will fail you ultimately. Put all your faith in the love of God that is within you, eternal, changeless, and forever unfailing. Can you imagine if everybody on planet Earth knew that? I know that. We have to get there, folks. Through the love of God within you, you can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and in sure confidence. It is a declaration of release from all temptation and idols. It is ultimately the acknowledgement about who you truly are. One and safe with me. Not me, God. Amen.